I'm, I mean, just missing my Bible for about a month or so, which is quite all right because for that month or so, I didn't want to dig into it, uh, dive into it. Uh, anyways, as I flip the script, as I work on flipping the script of the hell that I went through a few years ago, as I work on flipping the script, going from letting myself being a victim to holding myself accountable for my choices. And I'm terrified as heck to work on the next steps that I know I should, such as forgiveness. I mean, yeah, I, I don't know how to really explain where I'm going with that train of thought, but yeah. Anyways, a few months ago when people suggested I needed help again, which I am getting, um, I got angry and I went through my Facebook posts, and now I kind of regret it. I deleted anything and everything related to that time of my life, uh, all the way to the present, where I bitched and moaned about it, letting myself be a victim, and letting my mind go wild there. Um, so, I mean, I am moving forward, but I've been reconnecting with some folks who no idea what my life has been like over the last few years, uh, and I don't know. I'm I want to hold myself accountable, and I want to get out of the victim mindset. I need to start reflecting on the positives that have come from my experience, and how I've grown since. But anyways, flipping around in the Bible tonight and reading bits and pieces here and there. I'm just this is a good news translation, and some people are grumpy with me for having the good news translation because it's too simple of a translation, blah blah blah. But it's written in a way that is easy for me to understand, and for me to it just brings the word of God to life for me. But anyways, after reading the chapter, while diving into Ecclesiastes here, I just want to read the whole Ecclesiastes, so chapter 5, and bear with me. This might be a 10-minute video. Yeah, I really want to, this winter, if I have the time, I want to wash and prime this wall here. And I mean, blue ain't exactly my color. I don't want it to be a high vis yellow, but a nice. When I was working at Home Hardware, like last year's color of the year, I want that kind of nice yellow. Anyways, back to it. Ecclesiastes Chapter 5. Don't make rash promises is the first title of the little passage. Be careful going to the temple. It is better to go there to learn than to offer sacrifices like foolish people who don't know right from wrong. And the next verse I struggle with. Think before you speak, and don't make any rash promises to God. I definitely struggle with the first part, thinking before I speak. The second, I'll dive into it in another verse or two here. Don't make any rash promises to God. He is in heaven and you are on earth, so don't say any more than you have to, which is wild to me. Uh, the more you worry, the more likely you are to have bad dreams, and The more you talk, the more likely you are to say something foolish. So when you make a promise to God, keep it as quickly as possible. He has no use for a fool. Do what you promise to do. Okay, okay. I'm just going to take a pause and dive into it. And the one promise that I have made to God before diving into, like years ago, before I had walked away from my faith, and I've always have kept it at the back of my mind, especially when I've come back to my faith. Um, the one rash promise that I've made God is that I would quit smoking the moment I knew I met my wife. I mean, if he's got one for me, I would quit smoking. And so now that's a terrifying thought, because the moment I know I've met my wife, I'm gonna have to walk away from that hobby of mine. Anyways, where was I? So when you make a promise to God, keep it as quickly as possible. He has no use for a fool. Okay, so I guess you can't argue that I'm not keeping my promise because I haven't met my wife. Anyways, do what you promise to do, and that's the terrifying thought: is I'm gonna have to quit smoking ASAP as soon as I know. Anyways, do what you promise to do. Better not to promise at all than to make a promise and not keep it. Don't let your own words lead you into sin, so that you have to tell God's priest that you didn't mean it. Why make God angry with you? Why let him destroy what you have worked for? No matter how much you dream, how much useless work you do, which I'm guilty of doing some pretty useless work, or how much you talk, you must still stand in awe of God. That's wild. Okay, this is really turning into a long video. I'll stop talking so much as I'm reading. The next little title for the next little passage is Life is Useless. Don't be surprised when you see the government oppress the poor and deny them justice and their rights, which right now in Moose Jaw, they've taken away pretty well every shelter that I'm aware of. And it hurts. It hurts with winter coming up. There's nowhere for these people to go to keep them warm, safe, and out of trouble. There's warming stations, but what good is that? Anyways, every official is protected by someone higher, and both are protected by still higher officials. Even a king depends on the harvest. If you love money, you will never be satisfied. If you long to be rich, you will never get all you want. It is useless. Which is an interesting perspective, I suppose. The richer you are, the more mouths you have to feed. The more mouths you have to feed, the richer you are. All you gain is the knowledge that you are rich. Workers may or may not have enough to eat, but at least they can get a good night's sleep. The rich, however, have so much they stay awake worrying. Getting close to the end, guys. I'm going to stop putting in my 2 cents. Here's a terrible thing that I have seen in this world. People save up their money for a time when they may need it, and then lose it all in some bad deal, end up with nothing to pass on to their children. We leave this world just as we entered it, with nothing. In spite of all our work, there's nothing we can take with us. It isn't right. We go just as we came. We labor, trying to catch the wind, and what do we get? We get our lives. We get to live our lives in darkness and grief, worried, angry, and sick. And the next part of this chapter 5 just makes me smile. It shouldn't, but it does. Here's what I have found out. The best thing we can do is eat and drink and enjoy what we have worked for during the short life that God has given us. This is our fate. If God gives us wealth and property, let us enjoy them. No, Lord, I would love it if I had I don't even need a big piece of land, but just somewhere to throw up an A-frame home. But uh, I'm not going to make no promises and no bargains that I have to keep. But anyways, here's what I found out. The best thing we can do is eat and drink and enjoy what we have worked for during the short life that God has given us. This is our fate. If God gives us wealth and property and lets us enjoy them, we should be grateful and enjoy what we have worked for. It is a gift from God. Since God has allowed us to be happy, we will not worry too much about how short life is. And, you know, I'm going to keep reading from Ecclesiastes, but that's the end of that chapter. It's okay, so that's my Sunday evening thoughts. I'm going to put away my phone for a few days and get back to journaling, because there's so much that I've written in there that nobody needs to know. Nobody it's nothing dark. It's usually just a brief description of how the day went and the goods, the positives and the bad, negatives, and I like to rate it, and 85-90% of the time, the good things outweigh the bad. It's just simple little things that whom I'm getting help from suggested I do, and I need to get back to it. It kept me off of my phone. Anyways, I'm thinking a yellow walls that make my space my own, and I don't want to dive into it, but yellow is my color. Take care out there. Love y'all.